All right guys, so changing it up fishing here today. The wind is blowing like a consistent 25-mile-an-hour today, and there's no way I can be on the lake. So I decided to come up the river here and do a little carp fishing for you guys, kind of my little style that I've done over the years. We're gonna catch some Asian carp and some bighead carp for you, and then I'll show you how I cook them up. It's a pretty unique kind of fishing. We have both the bighead and the Asian carp here, and over the years I've kind of perfected a technique to catch them and land them. So I'll throw the chest mount on, we'll get right into the video, and we'll catch a fish.
All right guys, so like I said, I'm up here by the dam, and what happens is these carp are filter feeders, right? Both the big heads and the Asians, and so they sit facing with their heads upstream, and they just catch the food that comes by. Now these fish they will swipe it at different things, and so what I'm using here today is I'm using a slab spoon. This is the same thing that I use for my white bass fishing, and it's just really a big hunk of lead with a treble hook on it, and it imitates a shad. But these carp will swipe at it, and whenever they do, you'll either catch them in the mouth or usually somewhere right in the head. So what I do is I take and rip jig this, throwing upstream, and because we can't snag here, you're trying to get them to you know, to swipe at it. Sometimes you do end up catching them in the body just by the way they swipe at it, but you know, at the same time, these are a very invasive species. They want to get rid of them as much as possible. So anyway, we'll get out here and like I said, start rip jigging this, and we're going to hook up with some fish here. That's a bow fishing arrow. That's a bow fishing arrow, guys. Look at that nice find. Awesome. That point's still sharp on it. That thing's been down there a minute. That is another bow fishing arrow. Holy crap, that's two of them. My goodness. Look at that pile of nastiness, guys. Jeez. Like I said, you never know what you're going to get down here. And it's not legal to snag. What do you think they were doing with that giant treble hook? There we go, guys. Got another one. This one here's big. This one here's big. So I'll try to get up there and get my rod underneath the buoys as quick as possible. There we go. This is a lot better fish, guys. This is a lot better fish. Hopefully they'll stay on. Like I said, they're real soft skinned. But this is a lot bigger fish here. This may be a bighead. As I said before, we've got bigheads both and Asian carps. So I'm just fighting them on just medium tackle. So you know, this fish could very well be 30 plus pounds. And he is taking me for a good little run here. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and shut the camera off, and I'll check back with you here whenever the fight comes back, because I got my camera on loop, so I don't want to lose the hook set footage. This is a good fish, guys. I mean, it's no break state record, but that's a good fish. Light tackle in the current on a windy day. All right, guys. Oh, he's here. He's here. Come here, buddy. Oh, come on. I
can't screw this up. He's only got one good hook in him. I may just grab his head. I think I'll just hand line him. Just grab his head, guys. He's not hooked here. Got him, guys. That's a big carp. That's a big carp. You can see he's hooked right there in the mouth. Right, like I said, he swiped at it. That's a big fish, guys. That's a big fish. Full of eggs, ain't spawned yet. All right.
All right, guys. So there's that fish. Pretty good fish here. Anybody says you can't catch them on rod and reel, that's a good fish there. We're gonna eat him up for you guys. So come down river there a couple of miles, try to get out of the wind. I pulled up into this little cut, and we'll go ahead and we're gonna cook this fish up for you guys. You know, a lot of people say these big heads aren't edible. Just a lot of it's because of the hair bones. You know, the rest of the world does not mind the hair bones, but we seem to worry about them. So honestly, if you cook them right, they're as good as any fish that you've ever eaten. So first things first here, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll weigh the fish for you again. You guys see that? 24 pounds. So that's a good fish. They get a lot bigger, but this is a good fish. He looks real cool just because absolutely full of eggs, but that's a nice fish, huh? All right. So fish this big, and these fish in particular, they've got a lot of blood in them. So what I like to do is go ahead and bleed them out. And I'll do that for a couple of reasons. Number one, I want to clean them for you guys to show you how I deal with the bones, and you know how YouTube is with the blood. And number two, it just keeps things cleaner. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'll do that off camera. I'm just gonna take and I'm just gonna cut his gills, and I've got a stringer, and I'm just gonna set him in the water for a minute, let him bleed out while I get things ready to cook. So like I said, guys, I wish I could show you everything, but you know how YouTube is. All right, guys, so I went ahead and did the deed. Just to kind of show you, so I just got a piece of rope here I just used as a stringer, and now that he's all bled out here, just cut underneath there, you know, let him bleed out, and throw him in the water, do the deed, and it's good to go. So it's as simple as that with these fish, and you can honestly do this as you catch them. Is how I usually do it. If I'm gonna keep some of the meat, just as you catch them, bleed them out, throw them over the boat. It makes the meat a lot cleaner. You know, these are pretty big fish, so they do have quite a little bit of blood in them. So I've got this fish here up on my cutting board. Now, in this instance, as you can see, this fish is not spawned yet, so there's a million eggs in this sucker. So I'm not gonna fillet him in a traditional manner. I'm just gonna take just right here, you can see, kind of like what would be the back strap and then the tail part. And as you can see, you know, for a fish this big, there's really not a lot of meat on these fish, but they've got some giant rib bones in them. You really can't see them right now because she's so full of eggs, but you know, this is a perfect one to be taken out of the population anyway, because she hadn't spawned yet. There's what, probably a million eggs in that sucker. So I'm just going to take a knife and I'm going to run down. I had some questions in the last video there. This is the Bubba Blade cordless electric knife. As far as what I think about it, I've had it a little over a year. I've cleaned probably somewhere around 2200 crappie with it. It does great for that. If you're ripping through a bunch of catfish or white bass, it definitely doesn't have the power of, I'm gonna compare it to my heavy duty Rapala. It'll get the job done, but it just definitely doesn't have the power there. So we'll get this fish cut up here. This is quite a little fish here for my cutting board. So we're just gonna come down here and just follow that backbone there. We'll poke out the backside, and then I'm gonna get a start here. And what I don't want to do is spill all these eggs everywhere. So you can feel the top of that rib cage.
And I'm just gonna run right on top of those hair bones. Can you see that? I made that cut and I'm running right on top of those hair bones. There's more bones in there, but that's the big bunch of hair bones that's in them. And if you can eliminate that, then you're good. So, like I said, guys, I'm about out of cutting board here, but we'll come up. I assure you this fish is dead. It's just twinging. All right, so let me work on this piece of meat. I'll throw this fish back in the water, and then I'll fillet it up for you after the fact. But I want to show you how I deal with this meat. All right, guys, so I just threw that fish just off the side of the boat there. I'll clean the other side of them up, but I wanted to share with you how I do this. So I know it was probably difficult to see, but you guys saw how I went and rode up on that set of hair bones closest to the spine. That's the first one. So there's another set right here, and these, you can see how white that meat is in these carp, right? It's perfect white meat. They're filter feeders. They don't eat fish. But what they do have is they've got a very, very thick red line that goes right along the skin, and it's you could kind of call it a blood vein, but it's not really a blood vein. It's solid red meat. That's where the bad taste comes from. So you can see this is the whole side of that fish, right? There's really not a lot of meat on them, on these big heads. Even, you know, one's almost 25 pounds, right? So we'll come in here and let me do this. I'll chop this fillet in half for you, and I'll do one regular. So what I like to do is you can come in here with your knife and just ride high. Just come up and don't run all the way to the skin, but run your knife high, and you're not wasting any meat because you're just running over that red meat, right? So see that? I rode on a fish this size, I rode almost a 1/4 inch high, and you can see I rode right on the edge of that red meat. There's still just a little bit left right along the spine, but not much. Now let me show you what happens if you run right down on the skin here. If we do this, running it right down on the skin like a traditional. So we ran right down, right on the skin. You can see the red meat on that. Now look at this fillet. That's all red meat. That's what makes the fish taste bad. That's why people can't clean white bass. That's why people can't clean catfish. That red meat is where your bad taste is. So now you'll have to go and just sliver this off. Like I said, if you hold your knife high though, it really does take the step away. So you can see there's that sliver of red meat there. Now I work pretty hard at getting all this red meat off because you know, that's where that bad taste comes from. And then on these fish, I don't even worry about keeping that. I just cut them straight down, and we will just lose that whole spine section. So we'll just lose that. Now we'll come over. This is the one you can see that I did where I didn't have the, and there's a lot less to clean up here. We'll just lose that red meat. All right, so on these big heads, the bigger ones have bigger bones naturally. By all rights, if you can get a smaller one, it'll have less pin bones and you can chop them up. On these big ones though, you can see that there's good pin bones in there. And those pin bones are actually thick enough that you can take your knife and run down them and peel a little bit of the meat off. I'm gonna go ahead and make a what would be considered like a salmon patty today, but if you actually boil this meat and you strain it, you'll boil the bones out of it, and you'll actually get more yield out of this fish than if you were to do, you know, kind of like what I'm doing. So right there, I just took that layer of hair bones. You can see that's all hair bones right there, and I'll just run down. You can see them popping up. That's all hair bones. Now these are not gonna fry up. Even if you mash them, these are not gonna fry up. These are too big. So then we've got another strip of hair bones right here. These are just small little pin bones here. These will fry up.
we don't have to worry about those. But the big ones we're gonna worry about. So there's that piece of meat there. So then we're gonna come over here to this tail section. The tail section's built very similar. And like I said, what I like to do is, you can see that line right there. Just kind of run your knife down, and you can feel those bones. See right there, there's the bones. You can see them just popping off, the bones right there. And then we'll get these up high. And we got the one more right here. Like I said, guys, there's not a lot of meat on these things once you cut them up. But I mean, you're not going to do any better than that, right? That's just a strip of bones is all that is. They're just a bony fish. All right, so then we'll come to this other piece here. Like I said, run that knife down. You can feel those bones. That right there is, you know, boneless. The bones are all right here on the back side. We'll just come down. Just run right down. Pull that last little slab of meat off right there. All right, there it is. So you can see there is quite a little bit of waste on these fish, and that's one side, right? So I've got this much here, which is I mean, it's probably the equivalent of probably three 12-inch crappie, right? So it's a good meal. Anyway, this is gonna be what we'll cook up. I'm gonna do that other side. I'm gonna slab him up and take him home. But this is what we're gonna cook for you guys. So anyway, there's your meat. You can see the texture of it is not quite, it's in between a gar and a regular like game fish. It's definitely not flaky like crappie. It's very similar to buffalo, which they should be about the same, in the same family. But anyway, it's good firm meat. It's real firm, and this stuff fries up just white as snow. So anyway, that's cleaning the fish. Hope you guys got some of that. It took me a while to figure out how to do that, you know, trial and error wise, but that's the best way to do it. So as far as the fish preparation here, the best way that I have found is to fry this fish. Like I said, you can boil it, boil the meat off of it, strain out the hair bones. It's a lot of work picking the bones out, but doing like what I'm gonna do right now, where you make like a salmon patty or a gar ball, you know, some of those similar things, that's about the best way I've found. And the reason I say that is because whenever you fry this, it will dissolve what little hair bones that are in there. We're gonna deep fry it, not pan fry it. It always aggravates me, people pan frying fish in oil. But anyway, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take and I'm gonna chop this fish up, and as I'm doing it, I'm gonna make sure that I didn't miss any of the bones. There's always a chance, you know, using a fillet knife, electric knife, sometimes it's hard to feel. You can see how firm that meat is, guys. It's really good firm meat. You know, it's a delicacy over in China and Asia. I mean, that's what they eat. So I'm gonna take this fish and I'm gonna chop it up into tiny pieces. As tiny a pieces, there's a piece of fat, we don't want that. Tiny pieces as I can possibly get. I'm doing this here in the boat. If I were, piece of bone in there. If I were doing this at home, I would put this in a food processor. And I would put it in a food processor and do that. That's the best way to do it, but I don't have a food processor in the boat, so we're just gonna mince it up as best we can. So you can see that right there. That is pretty chopped up. Getting our oil heat up. Now we're gonna deep fry these. We're not gonna pan fry them. You know, so many times whenever I see people pan frying fish, they say it tastes oily, and the reason is because you're pan frying it. If you can submerge that fish in oil, it will not absorb as much, and it makes it taste so much better, right? Let's see if I can get my head in the camera here. That way you guys aren't talking to my shoulders. Huh? How about that? Okay. So we're heating our oil up. I've got just a pan here, a little pot, small pot, so it doesn't take a lot of oil, and I've just got a strainer here that I use to fry the fish in. And it doesn't take much. You can deep fry fish, you can do these gar patties, and then you can just let your oil cool, reuse your oil, because you don't, just don't burn it, right? There's a boat going by. So, as I've said before, you guys can see I've got this nice aluminum tray here, mounted on a ram mount. I'm beached my boat right now, so of course the boat's not sitting level, and I'm able to adjust it as soon as these boat wakes come by. You need to do everything you can because I've got a pot of hot oil, right? So it helps. All right, so in preparation of this fish here, I've just got it here on the cutting board. I'll try to keep everything in frame here as much as possible. So I'm gonna go ahead and season this fish while the oil is hot. I'm gonna go ahead and season it right now. I've got some critter glitter. This is my buddy Mike, Mullet Man. He sells this. I'll leave a link in the description if you wanna purchase some. But I'll tell you what, you make a good dressing, good seasoning for carp. So anyway, let that sit there and marinate a minute while the oil heats up. And then we'll take, and at home today, I took some onions and green peppers, and I chopped those up, and we're gonna mix that in with the fish. And then I've got one egg here that we'll do kind of just to make everything stick together, basically, as a binder. And then I've got some Italian breadcrumbs. We'll dip these in breadcrumbs. So anyway, let our oil heat up here, and we'll get to making this here. All right, so oil's pretty well good and hot now. Drop one of those bad boys in. Also want to say too, just make sure if you do this, account for the displacement that your patty is going to make in the pan, so that way, you don't want oil running out everywhere. So I've got several nice patties here made up, and we'll fry them up. We'll eat real good. So let's give this nice carp here a taste test. I'm not gonna lie, I've eaten a couple. I just couldn't wait. It's too good. So look at that. Just nice, perfect white meat. I'm telling you, if you guys can get over the fact that it's a carp, and if you can get over the bones and clean it how I showed you, there's no bones in this. If you do clean it like I showed you, and you end up missing a pin bone, they'll fry up. But if you do it how I did, there's no bones in here. I mean, that's just so good. That's better than any salmon patty you've ever had. It's so fresh, guys. Oh man, that's good. I made way more than I could eat in one sitting, but I don't know. I mean, just look at that. Crunchy, flavorful. I mean, just look at that flaky white meat. So I've been doing this now for several years, guys, catching these carp and cleaning them and eating them just like this. And I can tell you, there's nothing wrong with carp. You just got to get over the fact that it's a carp and that there's bones in it, and you just got to know how to clean it. Clean it like I showed you. Run that knife over those big pin bones, and you'll be good. I mean, this is awesome. This is restaurant quality right here, guys. If you'd serve that to somebody, they would never know that it was a carp. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, here's the rig I'm using. This is a slab spoon, guys. This is not snagging them. You saw those fish were caught in the mouth.
they're swiping at it. They're filter feeders. They're swiping at it. I don't know why they do it, but they do it. This is nothing but a slab spoon. This is a number 4 treble hook. It's not a snagging rig. This is the same rig that I'll use in a month and a half to go catch white bass on. And I'm catching these buffalo, or these big heads rather. So light tackle, super light tackle. That was what, 25-pound fish caught on you know, medium light, medium gear. It's super fun. You could go a little heavier, but you need that sensitive tip to be able to feel that bite, because they'll pick it up and drop it real quick. But anyway, guys, super fun, super simple. It's a great way to kill a super windy day like it was today. Get out here on the river. But man, I mean, that's just awesome, guys. So anyway, I'm gonna get cleaned up, get out of here, go catch a few more before dark. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I've been really trying to be a good millennial lately. I've been posting consistent. If you haven't, go check me out on Instagram. I've been posting there quite a bit. As always, I got the Facebook. I'm posting on there. I've really been trying to do a good bit of posting lately. Be a good millennial. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. If you would, leave a comment, leave a like. It really does help. I got nothing more to say, guys. Get out and try it. You won't regret it. Till next time.